Now the final unpopular opinion. I think this. I waited for this one.
Massey shouldn't
Lewis
have been
Hamilton.
fired.
Lewis Hamilton retires as a one-time world champion if he does not go to Mercedes.
Where does he go instead, or does that matter?
Yeah, so if you remember, I wrote the post on X about it. I wrote it until 2016. So how I thought it would actually pan out is Hülkenberg goes to Mercedes for 2013-14.
So Hülkenberg's a champion.
Yeah, I said that a lot of people got offended. So Lewis, I think what was going to happen in 2014 is Alonso will be fed up and he will be looking to move. At the same time, I think in 2014, Vettel is also fed up and he's also looking for a move. Mercedes, on the other hand, has approached Vettel twice in 12, 13 and 11, something like that. So they replaced one of the Nicos with Vettel.
It was only 11, I think, wasn't it? Or was it 11 and
12? In 12, the order in which Mercedes went about was, I think it was Alonso, they approached first, then it approached Vettel, then Lewis, and then it was Nico. I think that was the order they said.
I know they wanted Vettel anyway because he was German world champion, so that was obvious. That was who they were going to go for.
So
Lauda wanted Hamilton, obviously. So
yeah, precisely. Yeah. So what I thought was in 2014, Vettel moves to Mercedes. As soon as that happened, Alonso moves to Red Bull because Alonso is done with Ferrari. He was done with Ferrari by 14. Seat opens up, Lewis moves to Ferrari.
Okay.
And from there, you can chart it the way you want.
From 2014. So 2014, Hamilton's in the McLaren. 2015, he's in the Ferrari, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 2014,
so
Vettel.
He doesn't leave at the end of 2012. He stays for an extra 2 years. And
That's what you're saying.
No contract was there, right?
So does Vettel go to Mercedes?
Vettel goes to Mercedes. One of the Nicos.
What year does he go to Mercedes?
2015.
Because that's 2015.
From 2015 onwards, you have in Mercedes, Vettel, Alonso is at Red Bull, and Lewis is at Ferrari. And McLaren is in the gutter, by the way, because it has Honda. So
yeah.
Well, like if he goes to Ferrari, right, in 2015, yeah, he obviously doesn't win 15 and 16 because there's just no way that Ferrari's winning, right? Regardless.
Yeah.
So he doesn't win 19 because they cheated, so that's that, right? 2020 not a chance, and 2021 not a chance, right? So
basically, it's a question of 17 and 18.
Yeah, essentially. So do I think Lewis would have made the difference in a Ferrari in 17 and 18? I think he could have done better. I'm just not sure whether he would have cinched the title. And I think at most one of the seasons, not two. Put it that way.
Yeah,
so
I think he wins one of them. I think he probably wins 2018, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't think so. And the reason is not only the internal politics, whatever. Ferrari took off 4 to 5 races worth of upgrades when the car got slower. And then the car started performing. That is the team and the outfit that we are talking about.
We're also not taking into account how much mental damage they would have done to him in 15 and 16.
Well, yeah, there is that. Yeah.
That's true. But I think if Lewis went to Ferrari, he would have this mindset that it's going to be a long-term project. He had a similar mindset when he went to Mercedes as well. So, yeah, probably that's not going to be an issue.
Could you make an argument he could have won 19? I mean, they were quick. I mean, Ferrari's biggest problem in 19
think he'll
was
stay until 2019. That's also a question.
Well, let's assume
the team principal changes. Marchione is gone.
The thing is, I don't know, because I think if Vettel goes to Mercedes, right?
Yeah.
The question is then, does Vettel beat Rosberg? Which I think he does. Probably, like 2016, if all of the same factors that happened to Hamilton happens to Vettel, then he could lose that to Rosberg, because a good chunk of that was about reliability.
Because of a poor start. 4 races.
Sure, okay, but there was also the reliability, everything else as well. So I'm not sure if I think it's still close. What the outcome is, I don't know, but I think it's still close. 15 he wins. Like, I think he beats Rosberg in 15 because he did so well in Ferrari in 15, considering where the Ferrari was and everything. I think going in, that renewed energy and everything else, I think he beats Rosberg. The question is then, does Rosberg leave at the end of 2016 the same way if he wins, for example?
He won't. Rosberg left because he was drained up with the battle.
He was drained
against
fighting
Lewis.
Hamilton. So, like, if it's a new person, that's my point. Like, does he still win the championship and go? Or is it because it's a new person, does he
Does
stay?
he have
Because
to go to the same lengths he went to beat Lewis, to beat Seb? I don't think he does. I think...
Plus, the thing is, do they get involved in the kind of political battles?
Yeah, see, that would have changed
Does
it
Niki
quite a
Lauda
bit,
allow
I
something
think.
like this? The presence of Niki Lauda
Seb
makes
and
a
Nico,
big difference.
Seb and Nico don't have the personal history that he and Lewis had, which I think really underpinned that rivalry, that they were so close coming through. Yeah,
and he'd been losing since childhood. So
yeah, and I think, you know, because Lewis was so fast, and I mean in 2015 he was just so good and kicked Nico's ass. And I've listened to Nico talk about this on when he had his own podcast, and he just said the lengths he was going to, it was unsustainable. So I think, but does he do that to beat Seb? Maybe, but probably not to the same extent, like as deep down the hole as he went to beat
but
Lewis.
it doesn't. I don't think it gets dark.
But if you run through all of that as well, though, Casual, the problem is, right, so the question I have then is, like, in
Where is
19,
Max?
for example, well, there's where is Max is one question. The other question is, like, does Vettel drop out after 7 championships? Because I don't think he wants to take the 8th away from
he does.
Michael.
He would have done it for Michael, actually, because
that's a good way for him to spin it, but I'm doing this for you.
You say where's Max? I think Max is in a Mercedes. Let's not forget Toto wanted him.
Ideally, that's what I thought.
So it would be Seb and Max.
In which year?
17, wouldn't it? Then the problem is you can't give him the seat before then.
Maybe he ditches both of the Nikos and they just say, nah, both of you go away and go and bring Seb and Max in. And Seb beats Max for at least 2 years, maybe 3. And then from 2018 onwards, maybe Max would have a better chance. But
so I think at most, though, I think in that scenario, Lewis is a 2-time world champion at most.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like, and I think you could argue all day whether he wins the second or not, but I do think he could have won one of them. Whether he does or not is a different question.
17, 18 or 19, he could
there
win
was
those.
one pole position for Ferrari in the second half of the season. One. And it's a season of 2 halves. Everyone continues to look at the first half and say that, okay, Ferrari was great. That's just not how things work. You have to be good for the entire season.
Winning 2019 completely depends on who's in the Mercedes, doesn't it? Like, it completely depends on who's in the Mercedes. Because, like, if you have anyone competent in the Mercedes, I think no. If you've got Bottas and, like, I don't know, if it's Bottas and I'm just trying to think who, Latifi,
Bottas will not
obviously
be there,
not.
right, in that case, because
Latifi, yeah, sorry, I don't know why I picked Latifi.
I think actually the thing is why this opinion came up was because I was actually going through I stopped at 2016 and I saw, okay, if it is at this stage in 2016 where Lewis is still a one-time world champion, he goes through 17 and 18, and we tend to forget the kind of mental damage it did to Vettel, because in 2019 he was not the same driver that he was at his peak, and that's what Ferrari does to you. And if that's what Ferrari did to Lewis, I think he retires by 2019. He'll be 30.
That's the other thing, as well. Like, how long does he stick around?
33, 34?
Yeah, like how long does he stick around as a one-time world champion?
I think he would have
hope,
engineered a move away from Ferrari.
Yeah.
But
then wherever he goes is worse, realistically. There's no.
He may have looked to go to Red Bull, possibly.
But then Red Bull, he doesn't.
We are discounting the fact that Alonso at Red Bull means Red Bull implodes like anything. So, I mean, that's what Alonso does wherever he goes. So,
well,
yeah.
Or he goes. Well, no, he wouldn't go back to McLaren, would he? Because they were such a crap team back then. But
no, that's worse.
It's literally he would have had to have gone to Red Bull basically, and that's it. Like, there was no other option available to him, or Mercedes sign him later.
Yeah, but there's no.
He might have gone to Renault because it's a works team, and seeing how the whole thing happened with Mercedes, maybe Renault. because Renault also had Alain Prost at the time. I think after 2018, Lewis does not stick around at Ferrari. That's for sure, because the kind of mental damage it does. And actually, that kind of tells you how significant Mercedes is for Lewis's legacy in Formula One. That's my whole point. We tend to discount the fact that if Lewis had not taken that call,
we've had this whole argument before, haven't we? Where I've said that as great as Lewis is, Lewis owes more to Mercedes than Mercedes owed to Lewis. But I think I think you could also say the same about every world champion with their team. Realistically,
yeah.
So it is.
Alonso,
I just made the point because people kept saying, Mercedes owe Lewis so much, and I was like, well, it's imbalanced that Lewis owes more to Mercedes, and then people argued with me, and they're like, well, you wouldn't say the same thing about Schumacher, and I'm like, yes, I would.
I would.
I'd
say it a bit less, honestly, for what Michael did, because Michael
maybe just because of the big
4 or 5
run-up.
years.
Michael got in as a 2-time world champion at Ferrari as well. Whereas, for example, look at all the success that Charles having. Charles would have none of it if Ferrari hadn't have taken a risk and brought him into the sport, and also done it to really honour Jules as well, who had really pushed for Charles to be in the sport. And then,
don't you think Charles would have been picked up anyways if it's not Ferrari? Teams were. After his Haas test, the private test he did with Haas.
But I think he's right to say as early.
He was faster than Magnussen already. And it was a test done in 2017, something when he was a GP3. He was competing in GP3.
Would George have made it without Mercedes? Would Vettel may have come in a bit later than he did because he didn't have the Red Bull backing? Seb wouldn't have got to where
BMW,
he was. Yeah, he would have come in with BMW potentially, but they wouldn't have given him competitive machinery.
They wouldn't have been there.
Well, Sauber just disappeared. BMW Sauber just disappeared. I agree with Jason there. It's it's all circumstantial. Mercedes, they owe him a lot, but he owes them just as much back.
The thing is, the best drivers get the best seats, which is true, but at the same time, it's always the team is definitely, I think, always owed more than the driver. Pretty much there's very few circumstances where that's not the case. But then
I think Lauda,
the argument to what extent
Ferrari owe him more.
I do think the further back you go as well is different, right?
Yeah.
The further back you go is different.
In terms of where Ferrari was, to an extent, I think McLaren owe Mika Hakkinen a lot because he was the only guy that stuck with Ron. Even though Mika was approached by Williams every year because they actually called him the Schumacher beater.
I think the reason I say the further back you go, the more important it is because the further back you go, the more driver input actually counts for, because the simulation tools have gotten so much better that realistically, you can have a driver sit in, do a few laps, and then you can kind of extrapolate the rest. Whereas back in the past, it was you needed that driver to go out on the track and tell you from feeling what they wanted. That was Newey's famous thing of always, okay, tell me what you need to go faster, and it was the driver's input would make a huge difference there. Whereas I think these days it's less and less of that.
Between the Red Bull that dominated in 2010s and the Red Bull that's dominating right now. They are completely different cars.
Where I think there's a difference though is I think
was a rare, stable, and it had a brilliant, and he basically designed the car on that front.
Do you know where I think Lewis adds to Mercedes though that potentially he's not given credit for, to play devil's advocate on that, is if you had, say, Lewis not go there, I do think you have a situation where you've got more driver changes, and I do think that stability of Lewis, kind of the Lewis era for them, I do think that stability helps a lot as well. Which, people want to take it as well, how much has he himself actually done? But I think you could extrapolate away and say as well, just the fact of him being there and being that stable driver does a lot as well in itself without him. You know what I mean? Without
Kimi
him
coming in, it's only the fourth driver change that Mercedes have had since 2010.
So you have someone you can build around, which is what Verstappen did as well. For having Verstappen for so long gave them the time to build around Verstappen to a championship. True. So I think that's a factor a lot of people don't.
But don't you think an Alonso or a Vettel would have done the same thing?
Depends how long they stay though.
If they jump in, why would they leave? Why would any driver leave a fastest car?
But if they don't
2022
join until 15 or 16, you know what I mean? Like if that's what you're saying, it's a different situation because you've
if
got
they
a couple
if
of
they join
driver
in
changes
15,
there.
I mean, assuming
Yeah.
if they join in 15, assuming from that point onwards, neither Alonso nor Vettel are leaving that car.
Well, but the Red Bull was
Irrespective of-
so bad in 2015. I mean, it was
Which
an awful car.
The Red Bull.
The Red Bull.
Yeah.
It was a terrible car.
God. Yeah.
It
But
was-
I think
yeah,
if
like-
Vettel goes to Mercedes, right? Does he stay as long as Lewis? I don't know. Like he's
Yeah.
coming off the back
Why
of
would he
4
leave?
championships.
But why
So
would
what, he just
leave?
stays there for-
There's a reason. Every driver, when he's winning, he's not leaving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are
but
two
that's-
reasons for that. First is the hunger to win.
What's that? 10
Second is
championships?
the shitload of money that they get. He would be getting he would be getting paid around 40 to 50 million if he's sticking. I mean, something that Lewis got, right? Why would he leave that money? And unless he became the beekeeper when he knew he could not win again. We would have an entirely different Vettel if that was the case, to be honest. So yeah,
I think the only reason he would leave would be to go to Ferrari to honour Michael, which is why he went to Ferrari in the first place. I think that
I think it was there's a bit more of this.
there was an
no,
emotional pull for him
Yeah.
because of Michael, and he wanted to be the one to bring the championship back to.
Like,
to
I mean,
Ferrari.
if he got 2015, 16, 17 and 18, right? Imagine he's won those 4 championships, yeah?
Yeah.
That's 8 championships he has then, right?
Yeah.
The championship counter, I think, for Vettel, that drive to get those championships kind of goes out the window then. It's like, right, I'm literally the greatest of all time in terms of championship counts. So then, I think Baxty's right there. Like, the only drive
How
then
old
is
will he be in
go to
2018?
Ferrari, do something else, or retire. You know, like, what else have you got to... Because I think, like, I said this a lot, like, I think if Lewis wins 2021, Lewis isn't
do
on
you
the grid
think-
right now.
But
You know,
do
like,
you
he has
think there is
nothing
a
else to
driver
prove.
on the Formula One grid other than a
He may have done a
Leclerc
season.
that would have gone to Ferrari
Maybe another one, yeah.
post 2018?
Hmm?
Do you think there is a driver on the Formula One grid who would have gone to Ferrari post 2018? Any top driver?
Yeah, because, you know
Any
what,
top
just the
driver.
one thing... Yes, I do think so. Just because Ferrari has this
I seriously doubt it.
unimaginable pull all the time anyway, that like winning with Ferrari, they all say is just this incredible, like it's a different level, like it's Ferrari is Formula One. I do think a lot of humans are deluded. So I do think so, yeah.
yeah.
Like, you know.
Plus,
Yeah.
in 2018, Ferrari was an attractive prospect because
Post
they
2018.
were
Post
quick.
2018.
Post 2018,
Post-
29. Like if you're looking at that Ferrari as a driver in 2018, you're going, that's a quick car. Like, and I feel I can be a point of difference. Like, because these drivers are so singular minded, they all think they're the quickest, regardless of the machinery they have. So right, okay, I can jump in that Ferrari and I can win a championship. They were quick in 2019, so okay,
They were quick, but they took a step
Spicy
back
engine.
from... Yeah.
If
God,
you're
they
saying
have a
joining
spicy
for,
I mean,
if you're
that-
saying
that
joining
engine
for
was still,
2020 is
a thing
different,
of beauty.
right? But yeah, I don't know. I just don't think Vettel sticks around to win like 10 championships. I think it's like 8 and then he goes, because like I said, I just think the same with Lewis. Like if Lewis won 2021, like what's he sticking around for then? You know, like
Yeah, but how old is Lewis in 2021? He's 37,
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
36?
yeah.
36, right? And if
He won
Vettel
2021.
in 2018 would be 30. 30, 31.
But he was
You don't
also
leave at 31.
like he's 31 with 8 championships in the bag. Like what else has he got to do? You know that way. Like there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the thing as well. Like I mean, Ricardo
maybe 100 race wins,
maybe
possibly.
Yeah.
That would be the one thing driving him
He
forward to get to
probably
100.
would have that by then.
He
though,
would
right?
have that by then, right?
I would imagine. Because how
was
many did
already
he have?
at what he retires at 53, 54.
He had
And,
about 40 odd, 30 to 40 odd when he left Red Bull. So
Yeah.
Let me just look up what-
Yeah,
he
no,
may have been
no,
on
no,
about
no, that's
80
a
or
lot.
90.
That's a lot.
Well, he has 53 wins
16.
now, even with being in Ferrari. So I think
Yeah. So if we are saying from
yeah.
15, 16, 17, 18, that's 4 years. So he'll have to win 15 each year. 15 is a lot.
No, he wouldn't do that.
no, probably not.
15 is a lot.
Not with Nico
So,
Rosberg
yeah.
in the car. If it
Yeah.
was Nico
Yeah.
Rosberg, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't see him sticking like that much longer.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think it's kind of like, you know, you're just driving around for a paycheck at that point. You know, which I think you have enough
$50
money.
million
It's kind of like,
paycheck.
Yeah, but look, I've talked to a few billionaires in my day, and they all tell me once you get over 100 million, like dollars, and these are billionaires, but like once you get over 100 million, it's just a pissing contest of a game. That the actual numbers don't make differences anymore to your lifestyle. It's literally just, I want to have more than him, and
But still, drivers stick around because of that paycheck.
maybe he does a Kimi Räikkönen and just goes, I'll just drive until my legs fall off. I don't care anymore.
Yeah. I mean, anyways, it's been fun. I mean, a lot of things. I actually expected this one to get heated, but it was very civil.
Yeah, I was unfortunate. Why did you pick a reasonable Lewis Hamilton fan? What were you doing? Like, there's plenty of unreasonable ones on Twitter.
Bring what's that guy? The one you've had a chat with, the driver.
Listen, there's a range of Verstappen and
Bradley Philpott.
No. Here's the problem though. Bradley Philpott on Twitter and Bradley Philpott talking on a podcast are two very different Bradley Philpotts.
What
he is a perfectly reasonable human being.
Yeah. What we'll do. Basically, it's a roast.
No, I want to have a podcast with me, you, FIA Girly, and I'm trying to think.
Yeah, bring those guys on.
There's another.
They have this podcast,
and then there's Max 33 or something. I can't remember his name, but he's like, Is it the one that's like an absolute out and out Verstappen fanboy that just can't say anything bad about Verstappen?
He's apparently gone on a tangent where he's calling Herbert.
Well, I just want both of them on the podcast, and I'm going to open it by saying neither of these drivers would ever win without the cars. Argue.
Yeah.
And then I'll just like switch my mic off, go for dinner, come back. It's like, oh, it's recorded now. Cool.
Yeah.
Done.
Good job.